Juan Corvington. Born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on March 3, 1962, Juan Corvington is a serial killer responsible for 3 fatal and 2 non-fatal shootings. Operating in the late 90s and early noughties, Corvington was seen as an ordinary man who was quiet but, according to neighbors, easily offended. By all accounts, he was seen as an upstanding citizen. He was employed as a bus driver for almost 2 decades before changing careers and becoming a medical waste disposer for local hospitals. Corvington's first known victim was 49-year-old Reverend Thomas Lee Devlin, a Baptist pastor. Corvington, 36 at the time, walked into the Reverend's church on Old York Road on August 19, 1998, and shot him 11 times. Corvington's alleged motive for this attack was that he believed Thomas had been using witchcraft on him to make him ill. Though he was responsible for the 49-year-old's death, Corvington accompanied his family to the funeral and appeared to mourn alongside them. Though he knew the Reverend, he was not seen as a suspect at this time. After the slaying of Thomas Devlin, Corvington appeared to lie low. It wasn't until 2003 that he re-emerged to continue his life of crime. On May 20th, he crossed paths with David Stewart, a 41-year-old man in the area of Logan. Corvington subsequently pulled out a 9mm pistol and shot David 9 times. The motive behind the attack is unknown. David survived the assault but was left paralyzed from the waist down and relied on crutches for the rest of his life. Then, just under a year later, on April 26, 2004, Corvington came across William Bryant Jr. on West Ruscombe Street. With no warning, no motive, and no provocation, he pulled a gun on the 32-year-old and shot him 9 times. While the attack was not fatal, William was left with disabilities and had issues with his speech afterwards. Following this assault, Corvington once more seemed to disappear. It wasn't until March 7, 2005 that he found his next victim. A 36-year-old Revenue Department clerk named Otis Bosket, who was on his way to collect his daughter from nursery when he was shot to death. Corvington's final murder took place on May 17, 2005. Patricia Trish McDermott was a radiographer at Pennsylvania Hospital and a well-respected member of her community. While on her way to work in the early hours of May 17, however, she was shot dead and found a short time later by a passerby. Law enforcement was promptly dispatched to the scene, determining that she'd been killed with a .380 pistol, but officers were baffled by the lack of motive. She hadn't been robbed or sexually assaulted, and they struggled to figure out why someone would kill her in cold blood in the middle of the street. Authorities soon began collecting and scouring footage from nearby CCTV cameras, where they found a video of Trish exiting the bus earlier that morning, oblivious to the fact she was being followed by a man in a baseball. Investigators determined that the man wore a light-colored jacket and green trousers, but were unable to get a clear image of his face. In the video, he can be seen producing a gun from his pocket and shooting Trish once in the head. After combing through further CCTV, authorities found the man on another recording. This video showed him running across a car park, and it allowed them to map out the route he took to escape the crime scene. When the FBI were unable to clarify the images any further, investigators decided to release the CCTV footage to the public, in the hopes that someone would recognize the man in the baseball cap. Hundreds of tips soon spilled in, with detectives examining each and every one, and it was here that they were finally able to put a name to the face of the man on CCTV, Juan Corvington. His name was put forward by a bus company employee who recognized him. When law enforcement inspected the CCTV footage at Pennsylvania Hospital where he worked, they found him to be wearing the same clothing that Trisha's killer wore. Corvington was quickly arrested and brought in for questioning, where he freely admitted to being responsible for Trisha's murder. He claimed that she was poisoning him with X-rays and decided to kill her because he knew he wouldn't be believed if he told anyone. Not only did Corvington admit to being responsible for Trisha's death, but he also confessed to the killings of Thomas Devlin and Otis Bosket and the shooting of David Stewart and William Bryant Jr. Some of these admissions came as a surprise to investigators. As a man had already been arrested and tried for Otis' murder and another had been apprehended for William's assault, both men were subsequently released from detention following the arrest of Corvington. Corvington was spared the death penalty after he was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. and was noted that he had been dealing with mental health issues from a young age. He was convicted of 3 counts of murder and 2 counts of attempted murder, and ultimately sentenced to 3 life terms without parole, plus 20 to 40 years for the 2 attempted murders. He is currently serving his sentence in a Pennsylvania prison, State Correctional Institution, Rockview. Though he was only found guilty of 3 murders, Corvington is thought to be linked to 2 other cases. In 1997, Brenwanda Smith, 24, vanished from Philadelphia. She was last seen at 7 p.m. at the Luzerne Depot near Old York Road after telling colleagues that she was waiting for a lift home. Brenwanda reportedly knew Corvington through her work as a bus driver, as they shared the same employer and had turned him down after he asked her out. Similarly, 25-year-old Anuli was a hospital worker found shot dead on 9th Street and Girard Avenue on May 7, 2004. Though authorities have stated there is no evidence linking Corvington to Brenwanda's case, he is considered a potential suspect in Anne's. He has not been charged, however, in connection with either case.